In the Five Points area, I mean, that's some place that African Americans have lived for a long time. It's been a stronghold for the African American community, hence the fact that we have a historic cultural district.
This neighborhood was, and is like my home base. My family, we own the building that's behind me, as well as we owned a liquor store that was on 25th and Welton.
We do have a lot of African American owners on the Welton corridor. And so that's something that is a little different. Nobody has been necessarily pushed out because, as I like to call my legacy property owners, the African Americans who inherited their property from their grandparents and have held on to it and has been basically trying to maintain that stronghold. That's a lot different than what people think of in gentrification. When you think of gentrification, our African American population as owners of land and property on the Welton corridor is alive and well.
When we opened up, it really wasn't, very advantageous, and I remember folks telling me, well, Ryan, you should have waited 2 years to open up. And I tell them if I would have waited, it would be somebody else in that space and not us.
This was probably like the epicenter of the community was 5 Points. So it presented definitely a unique opportunity for me personally growing up, because this being like a centralized business district primarily owned by African Americans, it connected me with a lot of people in the community.
That back in the late 50s and the 60s, prior to civil rights legislation, African Americans could not move past the Five Points area like other ethnic groups that have come and gone in the Five Points area to buy houses in the suburbs. By the time the 2010 census came about, basically only 25% of the African American population lived in the Five Points area. The other 25% is Latino, and then 50% are Caucasian. So technically, before any kind of redevelopment had officially started taking place in the Five Point area, African Americans had already moved out of Five Points because they had the opportunity to do so and they took advantage of it.
Gentrification's it's just such a nuanced and tricky issue, and I think everybody has a different definition of it.
There's a lot of folks that picture gentrification as a bulldozer coming down to knock down a house or displace somebody who's lived there all their life.
Some people make it purely racial, some people make it purely cultural, some people make it purely socioeconomic, and I think it's a combination of all those things.
There's a fear of, for example, property rights or property tax increasing that ends up pricing out specific individuals. And I think that's real. I don't think that's just real for 5 Points. I think that's real for Denver. I think it's real for Colorado. I think it's real for, the United States of America.
None of my employees and not even me can afford to live in this neighborhood anymore. So that's definitely a negative of gentrification, is people get priced out so readily.
I think it's money. It's all about money, which we don't have. Some people do, some people don't. White, black, Chicano.
People who are considered low income and are only able to afford rental units aren't finding the kind of low income rentals that they were able to afford before development started to come in, and then now it's marketplace rentals that are selling all over the inner core of downtown Denver.
There are negative things that come with change, but I think overall the neighborhood was really primed for it and really needed change. The era that people like to remember, where this was a bustling corridor of jazz and business, is very long gone, and it has been for many years.
It's unfortunate that there are quite a few people that probably aren't going to reap the benefits of the wave of redevelopment and the wave of growth that's happening, that really were the, kind of the forefounders of some of these buildings, these properties being here, and that's really tough.
To see a white Jewish boy bringing a lot of success to the neighborhood. It was kind of easy to pin me as the target for the negative aspects of gentrification, but you know what people started to realize is I pay the same rent prices as everyone else, and I'm affected by gentrification the same as everyone else. My staff can't afford to live in this neighborhood anymore. I couldn't afford to live in this neighborhood if I wanted to.
Has it been rough to see the other businesses closing around that have been here for a long time?
Has it been rough?
Or you just feel happy that you can stay?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the time that we're in has led to the explosion of development and change that you've seen happen here.
I've seen pool halls leave, chicken places leave, cleaners leave, all kind of places leave like that. But for the best part, I think this area is better than it used to be.
Well, it used to be, drugs and everything else, hustling and everything. That's a lot better. I see people walking their dogs and jogging. That's something you don't see.
You know, there's a good fight to be fought down here. There's not, you know, all isn't lost because there's a new developer, there's a new building, or you have a new neighbor. Because I do believe that those people, you know, that new person maybe has the same type of anxiety about being in a different environment as the person that has been there.